They were Black Romeo and White Juliet in the aftermath of World War II. Sort of a forbidden love, Mumsy and Papa, like Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. But also like Othello, as Papa recounted his war story battles and Mumsy fell in love with him. It was a love that rose out of the ashes of war like the phoenix. We need to consider how mass media influence us human beings, as we human beings live and die by symbols. The Nazis used symbols in their Nazi propaganda. And we should know that here in America, Uncle Tom's Cabin, the first bestseller, outsold the Holy Bible. And what did this slavery lead to? Black and brown people, Jewish people, Native Americans? It led to death. And so Papa fought in Burma in the U.S. Army, and Mumsy watched as the Nazis invaded Rome, her home.
We've dost overthrow, die not, for those whom thou thinkest thou dost overthrow, die not, poor death, die not, poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me. Nor yet canst thou kill me. From rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be, from rest and sleep, which but thy picture be, much pleasure than from thee, much more will flow. Much pleasure than from thee, much more must flow. And soonest our best man with thee must go, rest of the bones and souls delivery. For thou art slave to fate and chance and kings and desperate men, and desperate men. For thou art slave to fate and chance and kings and desperate men, and desperate men. For poppy and charms will make us sleep as well, as well, as well, and better than thy stroke. Why swellest thou then? One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more, and death shall be no more.
I remember reading Romeo and Juliet in high school, and Act 1, Scene 5 comes to my mind. That's when Romeo takes Juliet's hand, and they have this metaphorical sonnet, I guess, repartee, back and forth about pilgrimages, hands, and kissing. I remember Act 1, Scene 5, in which Romeo, taking Juliet's hand, says, "If I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine," meaning Juliet's hand, "the gentle sin is this: my lips, two blushing pilgrims, ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss." So that rough touch of a male taking a woman's hand, he wants to smooth it with a tender kiss. Oh, how romantic. Juliet responds, "Good pilgrim," and she's obviously playing along with this, "you do wrong your hand too much. which mannerly devotion shows in this. For saints have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss. She's basically saying that when the pilgrims put their hands together to pray, it's like a kiss, one hand kissing the other. Romeo is having so much fun with Juliet here, and he responds, "Oh, then, dear saint," meaning Juliet, "let lips do what hands do. They pray, grant thou, lest faith turn to despair." And, of course, he's hinting here that he's going to be in despair if they don't have a kiss. Juliet responds, and she's loving this, "Saints do not move, though grant for prayer's sake." Romeo says, "Oh, wow, I'm really hitting here. She's loving this." Romeo responds, "Then move not while my prayer's effect I take." And he kisses her. "Thus from my lips, by thine, my sin is purged," says Romeo. And Juliet, still enjoying all of this, responds, "Then have my lips the sin that they have took." Basically saying that her lips are very happy for that kiss. Romeo, "Sin from thy lips, O trespass sweetly urged." He wants more of it. "Give me my sin again." They kiss again. And this, Act 1, Scene 5 of Romeo and Juliet, reminds me of Mumsy and Papa. So when I was very young, I would hear them bantering back and forth, having fun with words. And I noticed one word, actually two words. They were my bimbanaccia. Papa would call Mumsy, and in slang, in Italian slang that is, that means bad baby, my bad baby. So you can see here, between Romeo and Juliet, the bad baby, well, that's what makes romance work. Another play that fits Mumsy and Papa is Othello. Act 1, Scene 3 in Othello. Othello speaks to the Duke and says, "Her father," meaning Desdemona's father, "loved me, oft invited me, still questioned me the story of my life, from year to year, the battles, sieges, fortunes that I have passed. I ran it through, even from my boyish days, to the very moment that he bade me tell it, wherein I spoke of most disastrous chances, of moving accidents by flood and field, of hair-breadth escapes in the imminent deadly breach. And sold to slavery was I, of my redemption since," buying his way out of slavery, actually. These things to hear would Desdemona seriously incline. She'd incline her ear, of course. She'd come again, and with a greedy ear devour up my discourse, which I, observing, took once a pliant hour, and found good means to draw from her a prayer of earnest heart. She loved me for the dangers I had passed. In this case, I had passed means I had experienced. She wanted to hear more and more, and Othello fell in love with her because she was so fascinated with him and his stories and his exploits and his life. Anyone so fascinated with his life, well, you just gotta fall in love with that person. And so, Mumsy fell in love with Papa as he recounted war stories. When I was little, Papa recounted to me the story of the Bengal tiger. One dark night, in the midst of India, the commanding officer wanted the head of a Bengal tiger as a trophy. A team of soldiers went out at night in pitch blackness, Papa included, on the back of an elephant. They spotted by way of lantern the eyes of a Bengal tiger, which reflected both fear and anger. I don't know. Papa didn't say. The commanding officer picked up his rifle, aimed it at those gleaming eyes, and fired. But he didn't hit the Bengal tiger between the eyes. He hit the Bengal tiger somewhere in the stomach area, if I recall correctly. And that tiger became angry as all hell. That Bengal tiger, wounded, I dare say, leapt onto the elephant's face and clawed out the elephant's eye. The elephant, suffering such a horrendous injury, fell back upon its two hind legs, and everyone in the carriage upon the elephant's back fell to the ground, rifles cascading into the pitch blackness of the night. The Bengal tiger, at once in a rage, went after the men, and with its teeth bit deep into the bones of one of the soldiers and ripped off his arm. Papa saw blood cascading from the man's shoulder. The man rapidly expired, and Papa knew they were all in mortal danger. From a crouch, Papa lowered himself to the ground, and like a snake, he searched through the underbrush for a rifle. He knew how to take aim with the rifle he had retrieved. He had been well trained in the army. He carefully tracked the tiger's hell-bent movements, and he shot the Bengal tiger between the eyes. Papa saved the lives of the remaining soldiers and the commanding officer, and the Indian guide who had rode upon the elephant's back, bringing them into what became a bloody forest.
So Mumsy was 13 years old when the Nazis invaded Rome, which was her hometown. I think it was called Operation Oxa. We're talking 1943, so that's a long time ago, but it's still relevant today. I mean, you go to Charlottesville in 2017, they had American Nazis marching there.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that anyone would ever want to be a Nazi, especially after World War II, given their nefarious history.
What do you remember about Mumsy's family during the Second World War?
Well, Mumsy's twin brother and other relatives confirmed that the Nazis took over Mumsy's school, and in the courtyard of her school they set up a cauldron in which they boiled their soup. Well, Mumsy was so disgusted with the Nazis that she and her girlfriend went to the second floor, opened the window, and both of them spat into the Nazi soup cauldrons.
Wow. Wasn't that dangerous, though? I mean, she must have been afraid of the Nazis.
For every German soldier killed by the resistance, the Germans would grab 10 Italian men off the streets of Rome, line them up, and shoot them dead at a firing squad.
Yeah, Mumsy told me her uncle was a priest in the Vatican at that time.
Yeah, I learned from my Italian relatives that the Vatican, way back during World War II, they hid as many Italian Jews as possible.
Well, Mumsy was a teenage shiro.
Her family very likely aided the resistance against the Nazis.
What an incredibly dangerous life for a teenager to go through.
Yeah, well, today's teenagers have to worry about school shootings.
Yeah, it's ugly all around. Is it ever going to change?
I don't know. Maybe when people recognize the consciousness of evil.